This iconic 4x4 went from being abandoned on the side of somebody's house for 24 years to being an engine swapped, axle swapped, complete off-road monster in about 5 weeks. And now it's finally to the point that we could do a full walk around.
I'm Nate with Dirt Lifestyle. You're watching Driving Line.
This is my 1973 Land Rover Series 3. And I built this in a way that was going to be kind of like a restomod. I want it to be a nod to how great these are, and I wanted to keep the looks. The looks of these things are incredible in my opinion, but I had to beef up certain things. We put Toyota Land Cruiser axles underneath it, ARB lockers, chromoly front shafts, and not only is it a big upgrade in the fact that these are way stronger axles than came with this Land Rover originally, but they're also an upgrade in the fact that it gave me four-wheel disc brakes, and big ones at that. You know, they're for an 80 series Land Cruiser.
The stopping power is provided by a bunch of disc brakes that are on the Land Cruiser axles. So these axles are from a 1995 Toyota Land Cruiser, and it's four-wheel disc, a huge upgrade over the four-wheel drum that came on this thing. I replaced every single line, every single hard line, every single soft line, all the way up to the master cylinder. We replaced the master cylinder, but it still doesn't have quite enough stopping power, unfortunately. It's not because it's not enough disc or enough caliper. The problem is it doesn't have like physically enough stopping power to assist. So it stops fine. I just got to use a whole lot of my legs and hips in order to make it happen. So I think that a future mod will likely be some sort of a hydro boost or some sort of a bigger vacuum booster or something to make it to where it assists me a little bit more in stopping this lightweight little 4x4. In line with essential modifications like brakes would definitely be steering, and that was kind of a bear. I used a steering box from a 90s Range Rover because this came with full mechanical steering and we needed power steering. It's powered by, well, luckily we upgraded the engine to a more modern engine out of a Defender, and that came with power steering, so we were able to use that pump with this Range Rover box. And then as far as the linkage between the box and the axles, I used a kit from Barnes 4-wheel drive, so we built our own drag link, built our own tie rod. Pretty simple there. What was not simple was all the linkage between the steering box and our like steering shaft, I guess it would be, that comes out of the column. We had to take it to a machinist. They milled it down in a way that it would accept the linkage joints that I wanted to use, and then we built our own linkage in between. So now that it's all said and done, I'm very happy with it, but it was kind of painstaking in order to get everything to marry together, steering wheel straight, and it turned super easy now. So very much worth it in the end, but definitely a big chore.
For the suspension that I used on this project, I went with Jeep TJ coils on all four corners. So we converted it from leaf spring to coil, and I decided to use Jeep TJ coils, which is a 97 to 06 Jeep Wrangler, because I figured the weight would be super similar, and it was dead on. I mean, this thing rides like a Jeep TJ whenever it's pretty close to stock, except it just has like longer control arms that I used from a Barnes 3-link kit front and rear. So it's very simple, 3 links, front and rear, plus a pan hard bar. And then I used Bilstein shocks on all four corners, and I've had good luck with Bilstein in the past, in the cold specifically. And I like these ones because they fit the dimensions, because these are really short shocks on this project, and Bilstein made some of the best shorter dimension shocks with the most amount of travel that you can get in such a short length.
This Land Rover originally had a 2.25 gas engine, but this is a 2.5 liter turbo diesel out of a Defender. So the 2.25 gas was like 70 horse, something like that, and this is 85 horse. Not a giant upgrade, but we did put a bigger turbo in it. So with the stock turbo, it was 85 horse, that was non-intercooled. Added an intercooler, we have full exhaust all the way out, so the old school mufflers that were very restrictive, not a problem in this system. And then we put a turbo on here from what is called a 200 TDI. And the 200 TDI was the generation of diesel after this. And the inlet for the turbo is much larger. And now with the boost gauge, we're able to see how much boost we were pulling before and now. Before it was 9 pounds of boost, now we're at about 14 pounds of boost. So I think conservatively we're at least over 100 horsepower. You're not gonna win any races, but this does go 70 and it does maintain speed uphill. So because it's so light and the diesel torque comes in so low, it makes it to where even though it's only like 100 horse and maybe, I don't know, 170, 180 foot-pounds with these upgrades, it's enough to be able to get this lightweight little 4x4 down the road.
This is the first build I've done with a rear winch instead of a front winch, and so far it's actually turned out pretty good. There's been a couple instances where the rear winch came in very, very handy. And what motivated me to do this was a couple different reasons. One, I like the looks of the front without a winch on it, and two, weight allocation. All the weight for this little 4x4 is in the front half of the vehicle. Even the fuel tank is underneath the passenger seat. So there's like no weight in the rear of this, which I know is going to be an issue in snow. It's also going to be an issue with ride quality. So for that reason, I located the battery in the back and I located the winch in the back. And if you couple that with the tow points fair lead that I have back here from Yankum Ropes, it keeps the winch line super slim. And there's a tag, like a big red tag thing that I'm going to take off just because I don't want to get hung up on anything. But the whole point is that this is slim. There's no hook, so it's safe. There's not the extra weight of metal in your recovery system. And it's so slim. It's perfect back here as a rear winch point.
For onboard air, I've got a ARB Twin under the seat right here. It's just a very clean, easy way to install onboard air and have it be out of the way of everything else in the rest of the vehicle. And then I put the solenoids for the front and rear air lockers in there, and then just like some basic electrical stuff. And then boom, I just plumbed a port right here to the side, and then I can just plug in and start airing up. Let's see if this door wants to eat me. There we go. Plug in and start airing up. For now, I'm just doing it one tire at a time, but some of my other projects, I have them set up to where I use a Morflate system and I can air everything up at once. This is definitely gonna go that route eventually. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Nobody makes an off-the-shelf part to marry from a 1970s Land Rover transfer case to 1990s Toyota axles, but Adam's Driveshaft was able to make this possible, and like everything else I've ordered from them, all the parts are on hand, and even though these are short drive shafts, I don't have any vibrations at all. Everything works great. It's a surprising little unit, just this Land Rover as a whole, where all these little parts and pieces really fit together well. And the last piece of the puzzle is, of course, wheels and tires. I've got a set of 37 1350 R17 Nitto mud grapplers, and I've got the 17 by 9, I believe, bead grips from Method. I think that this is a really good combo. The bead grips, they're so unbelievable at the way that you can air down. I mean, I was rock crawling at 5 PSI all through Arizona, and I had 0 issues. And that made it to where this was nice and soft. It made it to where the tires were extremely pliable and could just crawl and creep over all the terrain. I think that this is a really good combination for a well-rounded tire setup. And I mean, look at it. Those super wide 37s look so good on here, and having a big 17-inch wheel, I think, is what helps this look like a resto mod instead of just like a classic truck.
I hope you enjoyed learning about my little Land Rover. I think this thing is super fun, and I look forward to using it more. I mean, right now I've only had it in Arizona on one trip and in Washington on one trip, so I look forward to getting it back out on the trail and doing more testing. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the trail.
Thanks for watching Driving Line. If you guys like this video, consider subscribing to our channel so you'll never miss any of the content we create here. Whether you're into trucks, Jeeps, imports, domestic vehicles, or anything in between, we are here to fuel your passion. So hit that subscribe button and we'll see you guys next time.